Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see today's important articles that appeared in the newspaper. And first of all, let us know important topics of the day. And later on, we are going to see each and every topic from prelims and as well as mains point of view. And at last, I'll be giving you even prelims practice questions, guys, so that you will be understanding like how questions can be asked in that topics. Okay. Let us see the topics of the day. The first one is disqualify all 7 defecting MPs. AAP says in petition to RS chairman. This article is talking about anti-defection law. It is talking about defecting MPs who shifted from one political party to another political party. Now the decision is going to be taken by Rajya Sabha chairman. Because of this, it is very important, and you know that recently anti-defection law related panel also is discussing about what is the role of a speaker chairman related to this anti-defection law. So because of this time anti-defection law will be very important, and for sure you may expect a question related to this anti-defection law in prelims case. You have to know each and everything related to this anti-defection law. And this topic is important from your GS paper 2 under politics. And next topic is how AI helped community-led development in Rajasthan. So this article is telling about AI-related application once again in governance at village level. Here you have to see this topic from AI-related applications. You may get a mains-based question or like prelims-based question related to applications of AI. In that, you may use this article as a case study, or in your prelims question you can see this kind of statements or this kind of option, like it can be used for community development. So from that point of view, this is very important from your science and technology. And next topic is right to safe travel on highways is part of right to life. Supreme Court came up with one more judgment related to extension of Article 21. Here this time in 2020, in this 2026, you may get a question related to Article 21 for sure, guys, because recently we saw lots of judgment of Supreme Court related to this extension of Article 21, and this is one repeated theme of UPSC prelims. Many a times UPSC asked question related to Article 21 if there is any important Supreme Court judgment related to Article 21. If there is a news, you may get a question. Again, once again, this right to safe travel on highways is part of Article 21. You have to see that. And next topic is Nilagiri Thar survey. So we are conducting Nilagiri Thar survey, and if you are getting any that kind of survey or conservation project in news, obviously you may get a question on that related to your environment and ecology. Here you have to know about in detail related to this Nilagiri Thar. And next topic is India New Zealand sign historic trade deal. Finally, India and New Zealand signed this free trade agreement. And on this already in UPSC CDS 2026 examination, they gave question on India-New Zealand trade deal. In the same way, in UPSC prelims also you can expect a question related to this free trade agreement, because recent times we did sign with different countries. So here you may get a question related to this free trade agreement for sure in this 2026. And CDS they gave about this New Zealand. Okay, next topic is blaze in Seshachalam forest in AP brought under control. This article is talking about wildfires. And in summer season, normally you can see many articles which will be in news, especially in this Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats related to this forest fire. And while you are filling your form for UPSC, you will be also filling for IFOS and IES if you are eligible, right? So as an IFOS officer, your role is to maintain biodiversity, conservation, everything. In that you have to stop this kind of forest fires also. So you have to know what are the reasons for this forest fires in India, and you have to see what can be done, what measures we can take to control this forest fires. And you have to see in India which part of our country is having or vulnerable to this kind of forest fires. And next topic is Niti Aayog revamp shows tilt towards science and health. So finally, revamping of Niti Aayog happened, and we have our new chairman of this Niti Aayog now. So you may get a question on this Niti Aayog for sure this year because of this new chairman of Niti Aayog. And you have to see some basic facts of this Niti Aayog. So if you see PYQs, 3 or 4 times UPSC asked a question related to this Niti Aayog. Because of this, it will be very important for your upcoming examination. So these all are the topics which are there in the news, and now we are going to see them one by one. Now look at the title, guys. Read out the title. Disqualify all 7 defecting MPs, Aam Aadmi Party says in petition to RS chairman. What is the keyword? Keyword is defection. This article is talking about anti-defection law. Already we discussed this topic in the last class. Now guys, tell me, is this anti-defection law present in our original constitution? No. Which amendment added this? Remember this 52nd constitutional amendment added this provision to our constitution. It is present in which schedule? How many schedules do we have? 12 schedules, right? In that, which schedule talks about this? Yes, 10th schedule talks about this anti-defection law. Okay. Now you guys, you have to remember the grounds. On which grounds an MP or MLA can be disqualified? So we have 4 grounds, right? On these 4 grounds, we can disqualify MP or MLA. Now tell me, what are those 4 grounds on which we can remove or we can disqualify this MP or MLA? First one is if they are voluntarily joining another political party. That is the first ground. And second one is if they are independent member. If they join any political party, then they will be disqualified. Independent member should not join any political party. If in case you are joining any political party, they will be disqualified. And what is the third provision? It is about nominated members. Nominated members can join a political party within 6 months. If they are joining after 6 months, they will be disqualified. And fourth one is if they are not following the political party whip, then they will be disqualified. So these are the 4 grounds on which MP or MLA will be disqualified. Now tell me, who is the final authority to decide related to this disqualification? Presiding officer. Okay, who is the presiding officer of Lok Sabha? It is Speaker, Rajya Sabha, Vice President or Chairman, and in Legislative Assembly, Speaker. So these people are authorized to finalize whether it comes under disqualification or not. Then what about the time period? In how many months or in how many days they have to decide this? There is no time period or provision of deciding. So that is the one loophole that we can see. Okay, so these are the things now we have to see. Okay, how can you get a question? Consider the following statements regarding 10th schedule, or consider the following statement regarding anti-defection law. They'll give you directly 10th schedule also. Don't confuse. 10th schedule is nothing but anti-defection law. And that the first statement will be, it is originally present in our constitution. Next one is, they will give you about the grounds and they will give you about exception. What is the exception of this 10th schedule? What is the exception? If speaker, if that person MLA or MP had been elected as a speaker or deputy speaker or chairman, they can leave that political party. That is the first exception. And second one is merger of political party. If 2/3 of that political party is merging or adding in another political party, that will be not coming under this anti-defection law. Only these are the 2 grounds which are exempted from this anti-defection law. Always UPSC will focus on exemptions more. You have to know about this exemptions. Okay, that's the thing, guys. The first one is, it had been added to our constitution by this 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1985. What is the aim? To stop political defection. That is nothing but for personal gain, I may join another party, right? So to stop that kind of personal gain and to maintain political stability, this anti-defection law had came into picture. And next one is, this law was strengthened by 91st Constitutional Amendment Act. So in this 91st Constitutional Amendment Act, what we did is, earlier They said 1/3 of members who are joining another political party will not come under defection. Later on, this 1/3 had been increased to 2/3. This 1/3 had been increased to 2/3 by this 91st Constitutional Amendment Act. That thing you have to remember. Next one is grounds. You know there are 4 grounds, and you know about exemptions. Okay, that's it, guys. You have to remember these basic facts. If you get any question, you have to do that for sure. Says next article, guys. How AI helped community-led development in Rajasthan. Rajasthan is famous for what? The desert. Okay, what about temperature? High or low? High. What about rainfall? Less rainfall. Rainfall will be less than 50 centimeter. Yes. Now you guys tell me what kind of problems will be faced by people in this Rajasthan. Water scarcity, droughts. Okay, now tell me guys, if we want to develop that area and if you want to solve the problem of these people, for sure we have to ask the problems of people, yes or no? If we know the problems of the people at the ground level, then only we can take some steps to overcome that or to solve that problems. If community is not involved in any development projects, can we ensure 100% implementation of that scheme? For sure, no. As a future IAS officers, you have to know, like, if you want to solve any problem of the people, first of all, you have to understand what is the root cause of that problem. How can you understand the root cause of that problem? Whenever you go to the field and whenever you're talking to the people directly and whenever you're collecting the data, that is first hand data from the people directly, then only you can solve that problem at the root level. If you are not interested to go to the field and collect the data and talk to the people and mingle with people, then you will be a failure for sure. That is happening now. So as I want to tell one thing is, the students who are clearing this UPSC examination and they are scoring top ranks are also one of the failure IAS officers in India. Why? Because if you're not interested to do this field work, if you're not interested to talk to the people and collect exactly what problems you're facing, can you solve their problems? No, right? So here, even though if you're securing top marks or top rank also, you will get a failure if you are not interested to do the field work. The people who are not getting proper like high rank also, if they are doing the field work, they will be getting awards, they will be getting like successful in their fields. So for that reason, always we have to include community in the development process. If you want to implement any scheme or anything, for sure you need to involve the people to participate. You have to allow them, you have to encourage them to participate. Then only that scheme or you will become success as an IAS officer. Yes, remember this thing. And why I'm telling is many rankers, top rankers are becoming failure. If they are failure means obviously what happened, they will be getting transferred. Okay, and they will be shifted to other departments which is not having that much power. So here think one, always keep one thing in your mind. So if you want to do anything, try to understand the root cause and try to be there to take the steps. If you're not taking the steps, then again it is a failure. Many IAS officers are not there to take this immediate steps. If you're not taking immediate steps, obviously, what happened? It is also a failure. Okay, I don't want to name the IAS officers. After this class, I will tell you who is that failure, and you know that guy, very famous. He is very famous, but he is a failure. I'll tell you who is he, and I'll tell you his story, why he is transferred. Okay, so see this article, guys. How AI helped community-led development in Rajasthan. Okay, if you see here this image, what it is showing, girls are waiting and they are in search of water. Yes or no? That means Rajasthan is facing severe water crisis. And what is the solution, guys? What can be done in Rajasthan to solve this problem? To solve this problem, what can be done? You are young and dynamic. Now tell me, guys, what are your ideas? How can you solve this problem of water crisis in Rajasthan? Are you understanding my question? Tell me now. Online students, tell me in the comment box. Check dams. Is it possible? Next. Linking of rivers. Okay, interlinking of rivers. Okay, next. Rainwater harvesting is next. Growing trees. If you want to grow the tree, we need to have reduce deforestation. Okay, next. Which is a project that is going on around this Aravalli areas. And one more question you can expect this time is about Aravallis. Very important. Why? Because we are having this great green world project of Aravalli and we borrowed that project from Africa. And we are extending forest in this Aravalli regions. And even Supreme Court gave judgment related to Aravalli and what is a range. Yes? Because of this year Aravallis will become very important. You may get for sure question related to this project or about directly Aravallis from your geography point of view. You have to revise these two areas. Just revise your current affairs notes. Already you wrote about that. Okay, now let us see this article. Recently, government came up with a project. Please make a note. AI for water policy. AI for water policy. You may get question this way. Consider the following statements regarding AI for water policy. And they'll give you statements. And second type of question is AI for water policy is in use. What it is. Okay, in which state they came up. Like that, you may get a prelims based question this time, please. So this AI for water policy is nothing but they implemented as a pilot project in Sirohi and Pali districts of Rajasthan. So what it will do is, it is nothing but AI chatbot. It will allow this community people to have conversations in Hindi and local dialects. So that what happened now, these panchayat leaders, they are going to collect information at the root level related to this water crisis in Rajasthan. So they are collecting problems directly from the people. Like exactly what are the problems the people are facing related to this water scarcity in Rajasthan. And after collecting all those problems at the root level, now government is going to implement the plans to address that problems at the root level so that we can address this problem of water scarcity in this area, that too at the root level, where we are empowering the community. Whenever you are writing any answer related to like how we have to involve community participation, what the success of schemes, everything, you can add this article as a case study. For example, whenever you're writing about any answer, whenever you're writing the way forward, you may add this point, right? Community participation is important. Awareness campaigns like that. There you can give example, AI for water policy recently implemented by government in Rajasthan. Like that, if you're given this kind of examples, that will add value for your answers. Okay, it will be important from your prelims and as well as from your mains also. Okay, now let us see exactly about this AI for water policy. So AI for water policy project was designed in water stressed areas of Rajasthan and they are conducting around 352 interviews across different villages in 6 months, and in this they are using this AI based chatbot and they are collecting issues related to this water scarcity at the ground level, and as of now they collected issues regarding gender burden. Gender burden is nothing but who will be collecting water. Water collecting is the responsibility of women rather than men. So here there is increasing of burden on women related to this collecting of water. And they said that whatever the funds government allocated, there is funding delays so that they are not getting proper infrastructure on time. And they said lack of awareness of panchayat process. You know, in panchayats we have Gram Sabha, we have 3-tier system, right? So in this 3-tier system also, especially this Gram Sabha is nothing but the people who are eligible voters in that area will form this Gram Sabha and they have to involve in the meetings and they have to decide what they want and where the money should be spent. But if people they are not aware about their role as a Gram Sabha, will they involve actively in this kind of activities? No, that is a major problem why the funds which are released by the government which are not efficiently used by these areas. That is a point which mainly highlighted in this. And if you have this kind of AI incorporated in community-led awareness, whatever the policy correction we need, we can do at the right point of a time. and whenever we are doing at the root level, obviously we can improve in that area. So that is the thing which mainly said here, guys. Okay, this approach will strengthen and it will be complemented, obviously, whatever the steps taken by the government by enhancing feedback loops, and obviously it will improve last mile responsiveness. That is about this topic. You have to remember about AI for water policy. And see this next article, guys. Right to safe travel on highways, part of right to life. What does this article talks about? What is the meaning of this? What do you understand by this title? Right to safe travel on highways, part of right to life. Okay, why traveling is not safe on highways? What do you think? What are the reasons? Accidents. Why accidents happens on these national highways? Huh? Yes, vehicles are stopping. That means they are parking vehicles. Next. Yes, they will move with high speed. Next. Fog. Okay, fog in winter season. Okay, not in all seasons, right? So tell me general reasons. Huh? Okay. Alcohol, consumption of alcohol and driving vehicles accepted. Next. Next. Have you ever been traveled on highways? Many of you, right? Now tell me why this kind of accidents happens majorly on national highways. One is speed, parking in a wrong place. Next, lack of sleep. Okay. On night journeys. Okay. Next, do you see most of the stalls will be there? Dhabas. Have you seen that? Dhabas. What is the problem with that dhabas? No problem. Come on, guys. What is the problem on national highways? Come on, come on, come on. Think, think, think. Okay. How this national highways travel is affecting your right to life, which comes under Article 21. How it is affecting Article 21? Hmm? Okay, if you see the data which is given in this article, if you want, please make a note. National highways constitute approximately 2% of India's total road length. Only 2% of India's total road length is national highways, but they are contributing 30% of all road fatalities. That is, whatever the accidents are happening on the roads, around 30% of accidents are happening on these national highways. And what is the chance of survival? Very, very less. And many a times we can see death on spot death. Why? Because of high speed, and even there will be like major accidents can happen. And even one more reason for this accidents on the roads is potholes. If there is no proper infrastructure, if there is any what is that? If there is any if there is any construction of any other things which are happening, there will be no proper signboards also sometimes on the roads, like take diversion, accident prone areas, like that. If there are no proper signboards also, what happens? The people who are going new on that road will be like confused, and they don't know exactly what is happening there. Sometimes that will also leads to major accidents. So here Supreme Court recently said that lack of proper infrastructure and potholes, no proper speed limit, and even drunken driving, and even illegal constructions regarding the stalls or like dabas, everything, and even parking on the wrong side, which also leads to this kind of accidents. If this kind of accidents are happening at a very high rate, means obviously it will be having impact on the life of the people. Yes or no? For example, accident happened. If leg has to be amputated or hand has to be amputated, means what happened? Obviously, the standard of living of that person will be getting affected, and even that family will be entering into this debt trap. Economic crisis can happen. So because of all these things, now Supreme Court said that right to safe travel on this national highway is part of Article 21. Okay, how can you expect a question? Recently, Article 21 is in use. The extension of Article 21 is given to, and they'll give you 4 to 5 options, and they will ask you to select the right option like that. So recently, Article 21 has been extended to what? Right to menstrual health for the girls in the schools. Yes. Next. Right to clean environment is also a fundamental right under Article 21. Next. Right to sleep is also a fundamental right under Article 21. And next one here is right to safe travel. Right to safe travel on highways is also under Article 21. So you have to make the list of Article 21 related Supreme Court judgments from May 2025 till April 2025, and you have to make a list. On that, for sure, you will be getting you a question. Okay, if you see PYQs, they gave simple questions related to Article 21. Okay, you have to follow this PYQ format, and you have to expect how question can be asked in the next year. That's it. Okay, now let us see this article. Supreme Court of India has held that right to safe travel on national highways is part of right to life under Article 21. If you see about this constitutional interpretation, court had clarified that Article 21 imposes positive obligations on the state to ensure safe environment for commuters, and deaths which are mainly caused by avoidable hazards, like which can be avoided, or like illegal parking we have to remove, and potholes. Next one is unsafe infrastructure. So if government is not controlling this illegal parking, potholes and unsafe infrastructure, it comes under the failure of the government. Okay, if failure of government is happening, because of that, if it is causing accidents, then here it will be violation of Article 21. That is the thing which mainly said by the Supreme Court here. So because of this, now Supreme Court gave some directions. First one is, court imposes immediate ban on construction or operation of new dhabas or any eateries or commercial structures within the right of way of national highways. So on this national highways, on the both sides, we can see this kind of dhabas, eateries, etc. Now Supreme Court imposed immediate ban. We should not go for any construction of new operations now. And second one is, Supreme Court prohibited parking or stopping of heavy and commercial vehicles on highways or any carriageways or paved shoulders. Anything we should not stop on the sides of this national highways. And next one is, we have to prevent the accidents in the blind spots. And next one here is, you also has to play a very important role from this Supreme Court judgment. Supreme Court said that district magistrate have been directed to remove or demolish all unauthorized structures within 60 days. Within 60 days, whatever the unauthorized structures had been constructed, you have to remove that case. So because of this, you have to know about your role. What is your role under the Supreme Court judgment? And next one is, no authority can grant licenses or approvals within highway safety zones without prior clearance from NHAI. That is, National Highway Authority of India need to give the permission or certificates for construction of anything. There will be no authority should give permissions. And next one here is, a district highway safety task force must be established in every district. It is your role to establish a task force related to the monitoring and enforcing of safety norms on these highways. So here your role and your work is increasing day by day, guys. That is the thing that you have to remember. Okay, see this next article. It is about Nilagiri Thar survey. If there is any kind of this survey, sense of animals, conservation projects which is in news, obviously you have to see that. So it is about Nilagiri Thar. Now guys, tell me, where is this Nilagiri Thar is seen in India? Environment is done. Come on, think and tell me, where is this Nilagiri Thar is seen? Western Ghats? Okay. So recently Tamil Nadu Forest Department commenced third synchronized survey of Nilagiri Thar under the flagship project of Nilagiri Thar. So government is focusing on conservation of Nilagiri Thar. If they have to focus on conservation of that animal, first we have to know what is that number of that animal, whether the number is decreasing or increasing or stagnant. We have to know that. For that they are going for this kind of survey. It is the third time Tamil Nadu government is going for survey of this Nilagiri Thar. If you see some facts related to this Nilagiri Thar, it is the only mountain ungulate in southern India among countries 12 such species. So we have 12 species of this thar, but it is the only mountain species. It is present in the mountains, that too in this Nilagiri areas. So because of this, the name is Nilagiri thar. And it is a state animal of Tamil Nadu. And if you see history of this animal, so we have many ancient texts. For example, Shilpadikaram, Sivakasindamani. So in this books also they mentioned about this Nilagiri Thar. That means it is very old animal that we can see. And this one here is, if you see about this habitat, it is found in high elevation on cliffs, grass covered hills and open terrain region. And this one is, it is now confined to the habitats in two states, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Beyond this Kerala and Tamil Nadu, we cannot see this animal in any parts of India. That means, can I say, is this animal endemic to that area? Yes, this animal is endemic to this Kerala and Tamil Nadu. We can see only in that region. Beyond that, we cannot see this animal. And this one here is, largest population of this Nilagiri Thar is seen in Ervikulam National Park in Annamalai Hills. In Annamalai Hills, in this national park, we can see largest population of this Nilagiri Thar. And the major threat for this animal here is habitat destruction and even hunting. And the protection status is, it is classified as endangered, not critically endangered, it is only endangered. And they are protected under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, guys. Okay, see this article, India, New Zealand signed historic trade deal. Already we signed free trade agreement between India and New Zealand when? Last year in December 2025, right? In December 2025, we signed free trade agreement with New Zealand. But now furthermore extension of this pact happened. And in CDS 2026 examination, they gave question on this New Zealand, India-New Zealand trade deal. The question is in this way, consider the following regarding India-New Zealand trade deal. And they gave 4 things. Which of the above are included in this? They gave agriculture, dairy, like that, 4 items. And they asked which of the above are the part of India-New Zealand trade deal. In the same format, you can expect a question in your UPSC prelims case. Consider the following statements regarding India-New Zealand trade deal, and they'll give you 2 to 3 statements and they'll ask you to identify which of the above are correct or incorrect. That is the first format. And second format here is, consider the following countries. They'll give you 4 to 5 countries. With which of the above countries India signed free trade agreement? That is also the second possible question. Because in 2025, India signed trade deal with different countries. So here, what is your work? You have to collect countries with which India signed free trade agreement last year. Okay. Yeah, see this infographic first. Okay, so what are the things which are said in this deal? The first one is elimination of tariffs on wood, wool and leather raw hides. Next one is they are going for phased elimination of tariffs on petroleum oil, vegetable oil and even electric machinery. And they are going for reduction of tariffs on wine and pharma, aluminium, iron and steel articles. Okay, and what are the products excluded by India? India is excluding certain products in this trade deal. What are they? Dairy products like milk, cream, yogurt, cheese, animal products other than sheep meat, agriculture products also they are excluding. They include onions, chana, peas, corn, almonds. They are excluding sugar, artificial honey, copper and articles thereof like cathodes, cartridges, etc. Aluminium and articles like aluminium and other articles also they are removing in this or excluding in this trade deal. So here, how can you get a question? Consider the following related to India-New Zealand trade agreement. Which of the following are excluded? Because obviously we cannot remember all those things which are included in this deal. So what is the possibility of question? Which of the following are excluded? So we are excluding certain items from this agreement. Why? Because if we are getting that products directly from this New Zealand, then what happen? It will be affecting Indian farmers, right? So here, whatever the products, if we are getting from other countries, if it is affecting our country people, we will try to limit that. So here, these are the products that we are limiting because, as you all know, that India is doing very good in this dairy products because mostly we have agriculture related economy and allied sector. We are doing very well. If you are importing milk, cream, yogurt, cheese from this New Zealand, that too without any tariffs, obviously it will be affecting our Indian farmers, right? So because of this, we are excluding dairy products, and even we are very good at animal and husbandry. Yes, if you are again getting this chicken, if you are getting this all these things means obviously it will be affecting. So we are also excluding this animal products, and even agriculture products like chana, peas, corn, we are excluding that. Even sugar, because India is the topmost producer of sugar. Why we have to get the sugar from New Zealand again? Yes, so we are excluding that. So like that you have to remember only the products which had been excluded for this prelims point of view. But mains point of view, what you have to see, what exactly is that free trade agreement is, and what are the provisions of this free trade agreement you have to remember, and what are the benefits. Now you guys tell me, India is making free trade agreements with different countries. Now you guys tell me what are the advantages of free trade agreement. Do we have any advantages? If you guys tell me what are the advantages of this free trade agreement for India. Can we increase trade with other countries? Yes. Next. If trade is increasing, obviously the production in our country will be increased. That will contribute to our GDP. Next, can we reach international markets? Yes, we can reach other markets easily. Next, think in that way. Okay, we can get foreign currency, we can maintain our foreign reserves, and we can maintain the value of Indian rupee. Very good. Next, can we provide proper livelihood opportunities for the people? Yes. Next, can we decrease poverty? Can we increase standard of living? So all these are the advantages of having this kind of free trade agreements. So because of this reason, we are approaching different countries and we are signing this kind of free trade agreement so that we can grab international markets. Okay, now let us see this in clear. India and New Zealand signed a free trade agreement, and our Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of New Zealand, they said that it is one of the historic step towards deepening of trade. We can increase the trade and we can increase investment, and as well as we can increase people to people ties between India and New Zealand. So this is a statement given by our Prime Minister. And if you see the key points of this agreement, the first one is they are going for removal of tariff. What is the meaning of tariff? Tariff, it is nothing but duty, import duty, export duty. Yes or no? Tariff. For example, India is getting some goods from other country. Those are called as imports. On these imports, our government will impose duty. It is nothing but the tax. So that what happens, imports, whatever the country, other country goods we are getting, on this they will add this taxes so that the price will be increased. Right. I'll give you a simple example. Let us take this pen. This pen is produced in India, Indian pen. And we are also getting pens from other country. So whatever the pens we are getting from other countries, we are going to impose import duty. Then what happened? Normally the cost of this pen is 5 rupees. Now we are imposing, for example, 5 rupees of duty. So what is the cost of this pen finally? It will be 10 rupees. For example, in India also we are producing a pen, the same kind of pen. And the cost of this Indian pen is 5 rupees in Indian market. If these two pens are coming into the same China bazaar, which will you buy? Indian pen, because the Indian pen is cost is less. The same pen which is coming from other countries, rupees 10. So here, to protect our domestic production, to protect our country people, our government will be imposing duty on imports. That is called as tariff. So what happens if we are signing this free trade agreement? There will be no tariffs. That means we are not going to impose duty on that country products. So that what happen? That country will be having access to our Indian market. Are you understanding? So here, if you are signing this free trade agreement with other countries, there will be no duty or tariff. So that this country and this country can go for increased trade, and those countries will be having access to the international markets. So Indian goods will go to that market, and that market goods will be coming into Indian market without imposing any duty. That is the one benefit of free trade agreement. Are you understanding here? So this is the concept of free trade agreement. So now the first point here is tariff removal. India will get duty free access to 100% of exports. Whatever the exports we are doing to this New Zealand, India will be getting this tariff removal. That is the first point. And India will also reduce or eliminate tariffs to about 95% of imports. Whatever the imports that you are getting from New Zealand, on that 95% of goods will be getting this tariff removal from Indian side. And next one here is sectors benefiting. Which sectors will be benefited because of this free trade agreement? Textiles, apparels, leather, carpet, ceramics, automobiles, auto components. These sectors will gain full market access. Okay, so these sectors will going to get benefit from India and as well as New Zealand side because of this free trade agreement. And next one is, there are certain sectors which had been excluded. Those are dairy products, agriculture products, sugar, fats and oils, gems, jewelry and metals. Okay, so these are the some sectors which are not part of this free trade agreement. Okay, and what is the significance of this agreement? First one is, this is the fastest negotiated FTA which India did so far. It had been concluded in very less time. And next one here is, we can go for increasing of this kind of trade diplomacy with other countries also. And next one is, obviously it will improve our India's trade, and will be focusing on domestic protection, especially for this agriculture and dairy. Apart from this, we can increase our trade with New Zealand. And next one is, we can increase our exports. And next one is, we can increase our GDP. We can create employment opportunities in our country. Okay, and we can maintain sustainable livelihood for the people. We can control poverty, malnutrition, everything. So these are the advantages of signing this free trade agreement. Okay, see this next article, guys. Blaze in Seshachalam forest in AP brought under control. So if you see about this Seshachalam, already UPSC asked a prelims based question. Okay, anyone, can you recall that question? How question asked in UPSC related to this Seshachalam? Any idea? Just guess. If you have did your PYQs, you will be getting some idea. It is in 2022 or 2021, if I am not wrong. That is the option you can eliminate from that. Which of the following hills are part of Western Ghats? This Seshachalam is present in Western Ghats or Eastern Ghats? Eastern Ghats. If we eliminate that, the answer you can get. So because of this, I am telling you. So you have to know exactly, like even the hills, whether they are part of Western Ghats or Eastern Ghats. And here it is talking about forest fires. You have to see which kind of forest you can see, and which kind of trees You can see in that. Okay. And one important thing that you have to see here is red standards. You have seen this movie Pushpa, right? Everyone know that Pushpa movie. So just see about red standards. This time red standards is seen highly in news because of illegal trade of this red standards. You may get a question on this red standards this time. Okay, so like that you have to interconnect everything. Whatever which comes into your mind, you have to go on revising that. Then obviously you can crack this examination. First thing you have to do is PYQ, guys. So this is one PYQ in 2021 or 2022. So this is the one you can eliminate in that answer. Okay, so that's what. If you do PYQs, then you can understand exactly what a UPSC is expecting from you. Okay, so you are applying for even IFOS also. If you don't know which forest is there in which part of India, is that right? If you don't know which hill is where, is that right? No, you have to know the basic things. So UPSC will be expecting that you know the basic things. This exam is not completely done only by reading books, guys. So with your basic knowledge, basic understanding also, you can expect that. In that question they gave in this way, consider the following. They gave Annamalai, Doda Betta, Seshachalam, and one more, Nilagiri, I guess. Which of the above are located in Western Ghats? You know about Annamalai Hills. Yes, you know about Doda Betta, which is the highest peak. Keep aside. You know about the Seshachalam. Seshachalam is not part of Western Ghats for sure. It is from Eastern Ghats. So like that, if you are applying the basic knowledge, basic concept, then you can do more, around 10 to 12 questions you can do with this basic knowledge only. You don't need like extraordinary knowledge of reading all the books to answer that kind of questions. So whenever you are reading the questions, you have to focus on that question, and complete concentration is required to understand what exactly the meaning of that statement is. If you are reading some statements, you will see some extreme words: always, only, explicitly, implicitly, present in constitution, judicial review is not there. So if you are knowing that kind of basic things, you can eliminate the statements. So that is the skill that you have to develop. How can you develop that skill? If you see PYQs, then only you can develop skill. Where exactly UPSC is using the straps? Are you understanding? That is why you have to do minimum 30 years of PYQs. Then you can understand. And many a times the questions will be repeating. Earlier options will become next time questions. Okay. So if you do PYQs, you will come to know like how UPSC is playing games. Then you can play game in the examination hall if you know that. Okay. For that reason, understanding basic concepts, observing, general knowledge, and common sense is important to solve these questions. That's it, guys. Okay, so here what you have to see, what are the reasons for this forest fires, and you have to see what are the measures taken to control these forest fires in our country. You may get a disaster management based mains question here, and from prelims point of view, you have to see about different types of forests which are present in which hills, and even you have to see which animal is present in that area. Because of this forest fires, obviously animals will be getting affected. So you have to see which animals are there in that region. On that animals, UPSC can give you a question. Okay. Say this title is Niti Aayog revamp shows tilt towards science and health. Here if you see this image which says that Prime Minister Modi meets newly appointed Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog. His name is Ashok Lahiri. So here you have to know about Vice Chairman. So if this kind of appointments are there in news, for example, if there is any new CEC appointment, if there is no new CJI appointment is there in news, if there is any important delegates appointment is there, UPSC wants you to know about that. And UPSC can give you a question on that. So this time you may get a question on structure of Niti Aayog because of new vice chairman of Niti Aayog. Are you understanding? Okay, in which subject you will see about this in your polity? Okay, now this article is saying that new revamp shows still towards science and technology. So now revamp is nothing but setting of Niti Aayog happened, and now this new Niti Aayog is focusing on health and as well as science, guys. Okay, if you see about this Niti Aayog, what is the full form? National Institution for Transforming India. It is one of the premier institution of our government of India. It replaced what? Earlier we used to have planning commission. What is the work of this planning commission? For every once in 5 years, it will prepare plans. Like first 5-year plan is focusing on this. Second 5-year plan is focusing on this, right? So here we remove that planning commission and we replace that planning commission with this Niti Aayog. What is the year? In which year we came up with this Niti Aayog? 2015. Remember this. In which year this BJP government came into power at the central level? 14. After that only they changed this. In 2015, this came into existence, guys. Okay. Now let us see the aim of this Niti Aayog. The first one is to involve state governments in economic policy. Earlier in planning commission, they didn't involve the states. And now they want to go for bottom to top or top to bottom approach. Earlier planning commission is top to bottom. Now they are going from bottom to top. They want to include state governments in this policy making process. And next one here is they want to come up with long-term strategic thinking. And next one is they are focusing on interest of national security. So these are the three important aims and objectives of this Niti Aayog. And what they'll do? Policy designing, and they will collect best practices from the central government and state government, and they will be becoming as a knowledge hub. And next one is they will focus on monitoring and evaluation of schemes. Next one is they will also come up with the reforms, whatever we require. And this time this structure is very important. So if you see the structure of Niti Aayog, we have a chairperson. Who is the chairperson of Niti Aayog? President, Prime Minister. So UPSC can change this with Home Minister or President. You have to be active in examination. So Niti Aayog chairperson is Prime Minister. And below this chairperson, who will be there? Vice chairperson. Now we have this new vice chairperson. So vice chairperson is nominated by Prime Minister and holds the rank of cabinet minister. So if UPSC wants to change the statement, how it can change? Chairperson is nominated by President. That is the one statement they can ask. And this one is central government, or they can use word parliament. So these three words it will be using. Okay, nominated by again Prime Minister and rank is equal to that of cabinet minister. And they have governing council, and this council will contain chief ministers of all states and union territories. Of all states and union territories, so whoever the chief ministers are there, they are part of governing council. And this one is we have even experts as full-time members. And this one is we have ex officio members of maximum 4. And this one is CEO is appointed by the Prime Minister for a fixed tenure. Okay, so these are the points on which UPSC can frame a question in 2026 prelims, and you have to be careful about this Niti Aayog also. Okay, now let us see the questions. Let us see how will you answer this. First one, consider the following statement. Niti Aayog is a constitutional body. Second one is the Prime Minister is a chairperson of Niti Aayog. Third one is it includes a governing council consists of chief ministers. Come on, tell me what is the answer. Is it a constitutional body? If it is a constitutional body, I used to tell like which article talking about it. It is not at all a constitutional body. Constitutional body is nothing but article in our constitution has to talk about it. Okay, it is not. And next one, who is the chairperson, Prime Minister? Yes. Second one, governing council contains chief ministers. So these two are right statements. So what is the answer? 2 and 3. Are you understanding? So if it is statutory body, it can be replaced by a constitutional body. If it is a constitutional body, they will replace it with a statutory body. So like that, UPSC will play game with this. If you see PYQs, you can understand clearly. And next question, see here. With reference to India-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement, consider the following statement. First one, New Zealand provides duty access to all Indian exports. I said 100% for Indian goods, and for New Zealand goods it is 95%. Yes, remember this thing, guys. It is very important point. And this one is India has agreed to liberalize tariffs on most New Zealand exports. That is nothing but around 95%. And this one is the agreement includes provisions for service and skill mobility. Yes. So they also included services here and even skill. That means nothing but movement of people. So when we discussed about this article, we discussed that it will improve people to people ties also. That means we can send Indians to New Zealand for providing of services, and we can get these New Zealand people to provide services for India. Okay. So this is also there. So answer will be 1, 2 and 3 is the right answer for this question. Say this next question, guys. With reference to Nilgiri Thar, consider the following statements. First one, it is endemic to Western Ghats. Second one, it is found mainly in tropical rainforest. Third one, Erviculam National Park hosts large population. Erviculam is right. First one is right. Then think about second one. Where is this located? It is the only Thar seen in mountainous region. Yes, it is seen in the Shola forest, not in this tropical. The forest name is Shola. Shola forest, and it is mountain forest. It is not at all a tropical forest. In tropical forest, we cannot see this deers. This Thar is nothing but deer species. No, normally where we can see these deers in grasslands, not in this tropical forest. In tropical forest, we will see anacondas. Okay, so like that you have to see in which forest, which animal species we can see. And even this lion, tigers are also seen in this grasslands, not in this thick evergreen forest. Okay, so in that way you have to see exactly in which locations, which animals we can see. So second statement is incorrect, answer is 1 and 3. Are you understanding? So in this way you have to use your knowledge, and reading statements is very important, and active presence of mind is very important. Okay, many a times after writing test, you will be realizing that, Asha, I didn't see this, this is Prime Minister. Asha, I think this is one more person. Like that, you will be getting this kind of, with silly mistakes only, at least 3 to 4 questions you will miss in every test. You can check. So don't do that. If you are actively participating and if your brain is active in that 2 hours, no one will stop you to entering into this case. Okay, active brain working is important for that entire 2 hours. So after reading 50 questions, you feel like, I did 50 questions, just relax, and you will ignore next 50 questions. You will not read every question with that concentration as you read for this first or second question. There is a major problem. Many students, they are lost in this prelims. And nowadays, prelims paper is very lengthy. Reading statements, understanding, and small logics you are missing. So don't do that. So for that reason, you have to read paper at least twice or thrice. You have to do in number of rounds. Then you will be not missing any question. Yes, that is one technique that you have to use in your answering of prelims paper. Okay. Yeah, that's all, guys. By this, I'm concluding. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this class, please do hit the like button and please do share this class to your friends. And if you have not yet been subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel, guys. You'll be getting lots of insights regarding current affairs. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.